explain it in the exact context which I spoke. 1979, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. 1980-81, the Americans decided to back Pakistan, back the freedom struggle in Afghanistan. And in 80s, then jihad was declared against the Soviets, and Muslims from all over the world were invited to participate in the jihad, means a freedom struggle for Afghanistan against the Soviets. Amongst them were Al-Qaeda. All these different organizations, Mujahideen groups, all arrived in Pakistan to defeat the Soviets in Afghanistan. And of course, Pakistan trained them, but they were funded by the Americans, by the Western countries, because all the Western countries backed the Afghan jihad. So my whole point was that then Mujahideen, who were doing, the Russians would call terrorism, but then we would call them freedom fighters. But they were trained in the art of guerrilla warfare, which the Russians called terrorism. And so when the Soviets left, my whole point is that the United States also packed up and left. And we were left with the groups. So I was just explaining how come when they talk about Pakistan having these groups, this is how we ended up having the groups.
We're building a relationship that just did not exist. I said in our last trip when you were with me that we had a huge trust deficit, in part because the United States had, to be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan. And we were successful. The Soviets left Afghanistan, and then we said, great, goodbye, leaving these trained people who were fanatical in Afghanistan and Pakistan, leaving them well armed, creating a mess, frankly, that at the time we didn't really recognize. We were just so happy to see the Soviet Union fall, and we thought, okay, fine, we're okay now. Everything's going to be so much better. Now you look back, the people we're fighting today, we were supporting in the fight against the Soviets.
We also have a history of kind of moving in and out of Pakistan. I mean, let's remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And we did it because we were locked in this struggle with the Soviet Union. They invaded Afghanistan, and we did not want to see them control Central Asia, and we went to work. And it was President Reagan, in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated. They lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. So there's a very strong argument, which is, wasn't a bad investment to end the Soviet Union, but let's be careful what we sow because we will harvest. So we then left Pakistan. We said, okay, fine, you deal with the stingers that we've left.